As we move into 2019, here are my favorite top 50 heating with firewood tips. We're going to move quickly. Like to learn a little bit more about some of these, I put together a playlist called Wood Heat Wednesday where we take a deeper dive into all these topics. With that being said, let's get into it. When running the wood stove, it's most ideal to burn in cycles. Let things burn all the way down, rake your coals forward, and then add additional logs. A lot of times we'll recommend 3 logs at a time or more. That way it creates a little pocket of heat and things burn cleaner and more efficiently. Bringing firewood in a little early before it ends up in the wood stove allows it to warm up to room temperature, therefore it's a little bit easier, less heat required to get it started, and helps it dry out just a little bit more. It makes for an easier to run stove. Periodically check up on your wood stove to ensure it's running at its peak performance. Take a look at your fire brick to ensure there's no cracks, as well as check your door gasket by simply shutting a dollar bill in the door and seeing if you can slide it out. Rotate this all the way around the door, and if the dollar bill slides out somewhere, it's time to replace that door gasket. Using a stovepipe thermometer can give you instant feedback and help you run your wood stove. Running things too cool and you'll create a lot of creosote. Running things too hot, you can run the risk of warping and damaging things. With one of these, you know exactly what's going on and can make adjustments as needed. Marking some of your equipment, such as your trailer, can help you catch logs that might potentially be too long for your wood stove long before they get inside. And marking your splitter allows you to make those adjustments before it gets split up into several pieces, one single cut instead of multiples. The most expensive pair of chainsaw chaps are a whole lot cheaper than the cheapest trip to an emergency room. If you're someone that's just thinking about getting a wood stove, the very first thing I would do is start getting a conversation going with your insurance company. Sometimes they have weird rules and regulations, and it's better to find these things out up front so you can make adjustments instead of getting everything installed and then threatening to cancel your insurance unless you either uninstall it or make the needed changes. There's also a big price swing from one insurance company to another, so it might be worth the time and energy to make a couple calls. If you are going to be doing a complete fresh install of a wood stove and also need to install a chimney, put a little thought and energy into thinking about where you want that clean out to be. Is it going to be something that's going to be easily accessible? Do you want that mess to be inside or outside? Will save you each and every year when you have to brush out that chimney. Trees have the least amount of moisture in the winter months and is also one of the best times of year to cut to help reduce the risk of spreading certain diseases such as oak wilt. The ground is often frozen at this time of year as well and won't gouge up things as you skid logs around. Not to mention the least amount of bugs such as mosquitoes and ticks. To help move the heat from the wood stove to some harder to reach places, place a fan in the colder part of the house and blow it in the direction towards the wood stove. That cold, dense air will push that heat back the other way. You can also reverse your ceiling fans, pulling the cool air up and pushing the hot air down and distributing that heat a little bit better throughout the house. Be sure to monitor your indoor humidity. It can really make a big difference on the comfort of your home. Taking the time and a little practice to learn how to sharpen your chainsaw chain by hand can really save you a lot of money, save a lot of wear and tear on your saw, and also gives you the flexibility to sharpen anywhere, including out in the field. Link will be in the description. Be sure to flip your chainsaw bar often so it wears more evenly. Processing firewood can be a lot of work. I encourage you to reflect back on your process each and every time you go out and do it, and try to find ways you can handle that wood a little bit less. I know for me, one thing that really made a big difference, instead of loading all the wood up in the truck, driving back, pulling out the logs that were splitting it all at my pole barn, loading it back into the truck and onto the piles. Just by making a small little change, just picking up the log splitter, pulling it right next to the wood piles, split that wood right off the truck, and then right onto the piles. Just a lot less handling of the wood and a lot less time spent. We all have little ways that we can improve on our process. Sometimes it's the small things that can make all the difference in the world. You can save a lot of wear and tear on your knees and preventing yourself having to crawl up into the bed of your truck by utilizing a picaroon. Tools like the log ox or the Pich-a-log can really make a difference on how you feel the following day, preventing you having to bend over multiple times. Log ox's tool is also a multifunction tool and has the capability to be a timber jack, helping keep your chain sharper, longer, and out of the dirt. A good pair of heavy welding gloves can be your best friend when it comes time to run the wood stove. Help prevent your hands from getting any splinters, protecting you from burns, and even giving you the ability to pick up hot burning logs in case of emergency or needing to rearrange things. Just be careful when wearing around nice clean clothes because these things can get dirty. Newspaper makes a fantastic fire starter and is recommended by all stove manufacturers to use. You can oftentimes get it for free at local recycle centers, just watch out for that glossy colored stuff. You can also roll it up and tie it into a knot. It'll apply the heat directly where you want it and won't float up the chimney. If you have access to birch trees, birch bark also makes a fantastic fire starter. Not all tree species are equal. Certain varieties will put out more heat than others. There are many great resources on the internet, such as this one here that shows the amount of BTUs by different tree species. So spending a little time learning how to identify the ones that grow locally in your area and pairing it up with something like this can help maximize your time and the amount of heat that are in your firewood piles. Link will be in the description. To maximize your stove's wood heat output in the coldest time of the year, run the highest BTU count firewood that's available in your area and cut it to max length that your stove can handle. Softer variety of woods are great for fall and springtime burns, allowing you to warm up the house without cooking yourself out. They also make fantastic kindling and for easy to start fires. Wood ash is a great de-icer and also a great additive to add to your garden if you need to make some adjustments and add some more potash. When it comes time to stack your firewood, get it up and off the ground. Utilize some free resources such as pallets, 2x4s, branches. Just by separating it allows air to flow underneath, allowing it to dry out a little bit better and preventing it from wicking up any moisture. You stack your firewood without needing any end supports. Use a method called cribbing or sometimes called cross stacking. I like using this on both ends of a cord of wood. That way I can easily look out and identify how much I have out there at any given time and can easily pick up one cord at a time without affecting the rest of the pile. When putting up firewood, don't forget about the importance of kindling as well. Looking around your work area, a lot of times you'll find a lot of great stuff laying right there on the ground. Keep all your firewood cutting gear together. I love using a milk crate for this. It's all in one place, easily grabbable, and that way I don't find myself out in the field and realizing I forgot something. Felling wedges are a great asset to add to your wood cutting kit. They can help prevent your chainsaw bar from getting pinched when bucking up logs, as well as control what direction that tree is going to fall. When going out and cutting firewood, pay extra close attention to climbing vines. They can greatly change the direction a tree is going to fall, as well as you could end up with poison ivy. If you're working in an area that you can't just pull up and load up and have to make several trips back and forth, cut things down to just a manageable size. You don't need to get it down to stove lengths right out there in the woods and help reduce the number of trips back and forth. A moving dolly can also be a great asset for getting large rounds out of the woods. Let others know that you heat with firewood. I cannot tell you how many times I've been contacted by people saying, hey, I just had this tree taken down, do you have any interest in it? I've ended up with a lot of firewood without even having to pull out the saw. Sites like Craigslist and ChipDrop can be a great resource for getting free firewood. Pay attention to what type of variety of trees you have on your wood lot. If you have a lot of ash, elm, trees that are more susceptible to different diseases, it might make a little sense to diversify and plan for the future. Put together a checklist to go over each fall before lighting the wood stove, checking up on things such as smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, and carbon monoxide detectors. Get involved in some of the online communities such as the Firewood Hoarders Club forum. A lot of great resources and information and great people. Be sure to hang on to your stove manuals because you never know when you're going to need them. I had one friend that almost got dropped from his insurance because he started getting white on his stove. He was able to pull out the manual and show the insurance company that the manufacturer made note of this, that it is normal wear and tear with this particular stove and not being overfired. If you're someone that purchases your firewood, a moisture meter can be your best friend. It allows you to take a reading to see exactly how dry that wood is long before it's ever loaded off the truck and money is exchanged. You're looking for something 20% moisture or less. If you're someone that cuts, splits, and stacks your own wood, this can also be a great tool for you. You can run a lot of different experiments, play with different tree species, ways of stacking wood, directions that you stack the wood, and figure out which ways you get the best results for your conditions. By knowing where your air intake on your wood stove is, you can change the direction of your logs to change the output of your stove. Since a fire will burn closest to the air intake back, by changing your logs north-south or front to back, the air is able to penetrate a lot better and you get a hotter burning fire, more ideal for the cold winter months. By changing the logs east-west or side to side, the air won't be able to penetrate quite as well and you'll get a slower, more mild burning fire, more ideal for the fall and springtime. By burning dry wood, you will use less wood since it has to use less energy to boil off any excess moisture. You also create less creosote in your chimney, better air quality since it's creating less smoke, easier to start fires, and the newer EPA stoves require dry firewood to help with its efficiency. If you can, I encourage you to try to get ahead on your wood piles. It will help take the pressure off each year getting wood in. You can go out and cut when time allows. You know that wood will be nice and dry by the time it hits the wood stove. And if something happens to you, you can always sell some of it, or it gives you time to get back on your feet. And no matter what winter throws at you, you'll be ready. A little while back, I made a video about how Log Ox is trying to bring a new product to market called the Wood Ox Sling. I've had an opportunity to use it over this last winter. Absolutely love the thing. They kicked off a Kickstarter campaign originally, and it's an all or nothing sort of deal. They ended up not reaching their goal. They've gone back, made some revisions to the Kickstarter campaign, and have relaunched it. So if you had any interest or have interest in it, you can check it out. I'll put a link down in the description below. What do you think of the top 50 tips? Did I miss anything? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments below. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.